Alright guys, welcome back. We are up to topic 4.4, America on the world stage. I know 4.2 and 4.3 were rather long. This one's a bit shorter. We're going to do some foreign policy stuff, but also look at our interactions with the Native Americans. So we're going to do kind of like a European focus and then a Native American focus as we look at America and its foreign policy. Alright, so what factors motivated early American foreign policy is our guiding question. Let's get into the European side of things. So, to review some things we've already learned, in 1803, of course, we purchased the Louisiana Territory from France. This was gigantic, doubled the size of our country, with a peaceful transfer of money. And then we fought a war against Britain from 1812 to 1815. We called the War of 1812, rather. A war which you can argue it's both a win and a loss, but the fact that we weren't conquered, I guess we counted as a win. Certainly increased American nationalism and made some national heroes. Now, overseas, what's going on over there? Now, this isn't technically European, but it's close enough to put it in the category. This is a rather odd conflict that's been largely forgotten. This is kind of our first foreign overseas war. And what this is a series of conflicts with pirates. Yes, pirates, the Barbary pirates of North Africa. So the Barbary states were technically part of the Ottoman Empire, but they were kind of largely autonomous, and they ran a protection ring, basically, in the Mediterranean, which means if you pay them bribes, they won't steal your ships, but if you don't, they'll steal your ships and your crew and sell them into slavery. So this was a big deal. Now, while we were part of the British Empire, the British paid our bribes for us, but now we're on our own and we refuse, and so the pirates start seizing our ships and attacking our trade. And so after a couple of conflicts, we're able to kind of basically get our freedom of the seas back from the pirates. Back in North America, we are going to sign a treaty with Britain called the Treaty of 1818. What this does is it decides kind of where the Louisiana Territory ended and where Canada began, and we decided to use the 49th parallel as the dividing line. So we're going to lose a little bit of territory here, but not a big deal, really. Furthermore, we decide that we're not ready to come to a full conclusion who owns the Oregon country. Rather, we and the British are going to share it for 10 years, have a 10-year joint occupation. The Spanish also had a claim on this territory as well. Now, it's largely unsettled at this time, except for, of course, Native Americans. So while the population is light out there, it's not a huge deal, but we will have to resolve this ultimately down the line later. Alright, Battle of New Orleans. Who was our hero, of course? Well, none other than Andrew Jackson. So Andrew Jackson was already a household name. In 1818, he's given authorization to go into Florida to end some raids the Native Americans have been launching from Spanish Florida into American territory. So he's authorized to go in, but not like deep into Florida. Andrew Jackson decides to go all the way down into Florida, and as he goes, he is, kicking down doors and killing people. He kills a couple Indian chiefs, and he's just causing all kinds of trouble. And he's able to get away with this because Spain is so busy trying to put down rebellions in Latin America that they really can't defend Florida, and Andrew Jackson knows this. This all culminates in what's known as the Adams-Onis Treaty of 1819. In this treaty, Spain will give up Florida to the United States. They will also give up any of their claims to the Oregon country. So now it's just going to be an American and British adventure, I guess, out there. For our part, we will give up any claims to Texas. So basically we'll recognize this as Spanish territory, and we won't to try to take it in the future. We'll see how long that lasts. Then there's the Monroe Doctrine, issued in 1823 by James Monroe. Now, this is not a law. Rather, this is just sort of like a policy announcement that James Monroe includes in his annual speech to Congress. the State of the Union, we would call that today. And basically what the Monroe Doctrine is a warning to European countries. You are done colonizing the Western Hemisphere. Don't build any new colonies out here. Also, don't intervene in affairs over here. If you lose a colony, it's gone forever. You can't come back and take a new one. Or you can't steal a colony from another European power. Your days of calling the shots in the Western Hemisphere are over. And this sets the precedent that we would be basically the supreme power in the Western Hemisphere, that only we would have the final say about what happens in the Western Hemisphere. Now, the reality is, militarily, we had no ability to actually enforce this. What's going to help us, believe it or not, is Great Britain. Great Britain is going to help us enforce this because they see this as an attempt to weaken their other European rivals by not allowing them to have colonies in the Western Hemisphere. All right, so we've done the European thing. Now let's do the Native American focus. So the next topic is going to involve two guys. One is named Tecumseh. The other is named Tenskwatawa, better known as the Prophet. And these were brothers from the Shawnee tribe. And together, these Shawnee brothers led up a confederacy of Native Americans east of the Mississippi River, a very powerful military force. And they urged Native Americans in this territory to not give up any lands unless all Native Americans agreed to that cession of land. They're also being armed by the British. Remember, the British are out there causing all kinds of trouble on the frontier for us. This is one of the major causes of the War of 1812, if you recall. So, William Henry Harrison at the time was the governor of Indiana Territory. His job is to try to subdue Tecumseh and his brother, the Prophet, to try to keep these guys under wraps so they don't present a danger to further American development and settlement of the Midwest. This results in a battle called the Battle of Tippecanoe. This takes place a year before the War of 1812. At this battle, William Henry Harrison moves on Prophetstown, which was kind of the headquarters of the Shawnee brothers, although Tecumseh was actually not there. He was off trying to recruit other Native Americans. And the Shawnee attack Harrison's camp, you can see here, and they are soundly defeated. Prophetstown is burned, and this Indian Confederacy has been destroyed. This battle makes William Henry Harrison a national hero. He will further expand that hero status in the War of 1812 and later, of course, become President of the United States. And for Tecumseh, his vision of this huge united Indian Confederacy as a counterweight to America is crushed. And Tecumseh will later go on to fight for the British in the War of 1812 and die in that war. All right, guys, that was it. Much shorter than the first two topics rather, in period 4. And yeah, we looked at some American foreign policy. We talked about the treaty with Britain, deciding the northern border between us and Canada. We talked about us gaining Florida, the Monroe Doctrine, the defeat of Tecumseh and at the Battle of Tippecanoe. These are all major events on the road to America developing an independent foreign policy.